South by West is here. Good morning now.
Good morning from the land of fresh snow.
We don't have any snow down here yet. It's raining. How much snow do you have?
That's about a half inch, and it's falling at a appreciable rate here right now.
Yeah, it's right on the verge of changing. I think we got 33 degrees here. But if the sun comes up and it's supposed to get a high of 38, it'll probably just all melt anyway. Anyway, yeah, it's a lot of accidents. Many accidents this morning in Fargo on the scanner, Al.
That's a big 10-4 there, but I'll have to try and watch out. I'm just leaving Glendon, and I thought I'd get an earlier start in case conditions are really bad, but it's just snowing. It's not melting off the streets, it's collecting, so it could be it could be slippery, depending on the temperature curve. Who knows? So, well, let's see. I found out something this morning I'd never heard of before about computers. I know you're all goo-goo-eyed over being able to talk to your computer and have it do stuff for you, but it appears that Microsoft is going to go full ape into AI in their Windows operating system. They don't want just one AI agent doing stuff supposedly for you. They want multiple AI agents in your computer as built in as part of the operating system. And those AI agents will have to have a referee to decide who's right between them. An AI agent of some sort that rules over the other AIs. How does that sound to you there, Tony?
Sounds very liberal, Al. Just liberal to me. You got to get that left-wing view in there, and they are going to stamp it and seal it in there permanently. So you can never get anything out of it that's real. Sounds really good to me. I had one of those Microsoft computers with what they called Copilot, which is AI. What an aggressive, nasty thing it was, so I'm glad I got rid of the laptop.
I don't use Copilot. I don't use any AI thing if I have a choice. But when they have it integrated and built in and it's part of the framework from the ground up, you can't get away from it. Well, they call it agentic AI. That's like the word agent, like a ticket agent, with IC at the end of it, agentic. You can probably Google that. Of course, Google will tell you only what they want you to know about it, but that's the catch name that all this is under.
K0NW.
Yeah, there's a lot of nefarious stuff going on in the computer and AI world. You just got to be aware of it. Step aside, let the train roll on through. Over there to you, Rich, KD0SPW.
I was doing okay until you brought up a sore spot. I am so anti-AI, it's unbelievable. One of the first things I did was remove Copilot from my Windows machines, and then I discovered that if you change your primary search engine to DuckDuckGo, that takes care of most of the rest of the AI that streams into your computer. K0NW.
This is AI0Q. Well, that might be, Rich, but I've heard that DuckDuckGo is actually just some kind of a subset of Bing. I don't know if that's a true statement or not, but I heard that said somewhere. I do not think that any of these search engines are truly independent. They say they don't track you and all that. I don't really believe that.
They've got backdoors and tracking abilities in everything. If you're connected to the internet, they know everything about you. You can't stop it. But you can minimize it as much as you can. Anyway, I might miss the next time around. I got to check in with the iBank. I'll be back, guys. KD0SPW, over there to you, Rich.
K0GEF, out here in the hinterlands with the snow coming down. Holy cow.
Well, I have a question. Did we get a lot of rain during the night? I heard something bouncing off the window, and I wasn't going to get up to check and see what it was.
I don't know about rain, but I heard a lot of wind early on. I don't know what time. I didn't look at the clock, but maybe 8, 9 in the evening last night. It was very windy. So all I see is white on the ground here, sticking. So if it got cold, it'd probably be a nice icy nightmare. Even worse than it is. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, it's definitely a white, icy nightmare. There is lots of thick snow on Highway 10 here. The snow is coming down pretty thick. I would not doubt if we end up with a couple of inches before 8 o'clock. It is definitely coming down. And traffic is going, about 40, and that seems to be about right because the pickup that's looking to pass me is not passing. I might also be driving in the middle of the road too. I'm not sure because I can't see where the middle of the road is. There is a blade in front of us, and it's not doing anything. It's not, unless it's taking the snow off the left side of the road instead of the right side of the road, because I'm not seeing much difference. Go ahead.
South by west. Do I have it here? Evidently I do. Anyway, Brian, you be careful out there. The scanner is just full of accidents in Fargo. Jackknife semis, accidents on the freeway. Most of the accidents are on the freeway. I don't know about the side streets, but a lot of activity on the freeway, so be careful out there. Let's see, it goes over to Rich, I think, KD0SPW.
Well, Brian, I have to say it was good to see you at the meeting last night, and Chuck got to find a face for you too. That was good. I slept better last night than I have, and I woke up to my friends on the radio. So I am now going to take a quick break here and go make some coffee. K0NW.
And this is AI0Q. Okay, I didn't go to the meeting last night because I was worried about the weather, and I hate driving all over the countryside. Anyway, if I can get away with not doing it. I did hear CZ, W0CZ on the repeater asking for information on how to get into the Zoom. I never saw that in my email, so so I don't know if he ever showed up on the Zoom screens there or not. Brian, go ahead.
No, he called HNB, who was sitting in front of me, and asked for the Zoom link. So I sent it to him, or at least I sent it to his CZ email, and he never did end up coming in. The link was at the bottom of one of the emails, so I don't know if he ended up paging down or just not finding it, or maybe his computer wasn't set up to run a Zoom link. I don't know. We'll have to get that set up for him so that next meeting he can make it in if he can't make it to the meeting itself. Next time is not a business meeting. It's I think Seth is going to do something. Well, I can't remember what it is. Maybe Rich remembers. But Rich is making coffee, so over to you there, Tony.
Yep, we were talking about AI. It's going to be in everything. It runs much of Hollywood now. Much of the news industry, podcasts. It's everywhere. You go to the restaurants, it's there. Pretty soon you go to the bathroom, it'll be there. It's all over the place. It's on everybody's phone. You don't think you got it, but you do. And so it's ubiquitous. It's saturated into all aspects of our life, and we don't know it much. And they want it that way. They don't want it to be too obvious, make people anxious. They want people to let down their guard and spill the beans about everything. Over there to you, Al, KD0SPW.
Is that why I had a squishy mess on my kitchen floor this morning? The beans were spilled. Okay. Yeah. Well, I hear you, Tony. Yeah, with AI running news services, that means you were being deceived. Even worse than when people were doing it. I mean, broadcast, ever since the broadcast network came into existence, soon after radio and television was nailed down technically, it's been deceptive. But now it's even worse. Jesus says that one of the hallmarks of the last days is deception, so you guys watch out and don't be deceived, I guess. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. He also said these things are going to happen, and the Father knows the time when the end times will come. And there have been disasters and takeovers and everything, and men have passed away, and God is still God. So I guess this is our cross to bear, and I've got a student that is writing a persuasive against AI, and it needs some work, but there's definitely people out there that are calling out AI for the problems it will cause with humanity. So it's not all hidden yet. Some of it is, I would imagine, but not all of it. There's still some voices coming through. Go ahead, Tony.
Yeah, they're actively working to eliminate all those voices they don't like, that's for sure. And AI will be their partner in doing so. So, yeah, it's a very anxious time in the world right now. So being close to God is essential. Anyway, it's not going to be fun going out and do the chickens this morning. Although I don't think it's turned to ice or anything yet. But I'm going to step out. When I step out, I'm going to assume that it's ice. I'm not going to assume that it's cement that's just wet. So I'm going to be very careful. I'm not going to let Pam out there. She's not doing very well anyway. She's lost most of the use of both arms now, so she can't do a whole lot, and her left leg has gone bad. So that fall that she took was like a car accident or something. It really took a toll on her. So she's sleeping in, and school has been canceled on her part, so I have to take over everything now because she's going to be unable to. So that's the news we have here today. Over there to you, Al, KD0 South by West.
Little pause, but no Kirks or anything jumped in there, so... Okay, yeah, you sent me an email about Pam yesterday. I saw that. And, wow, getting worse and worse. I wonder, that sounds like a pinched nerve in the spinal column or something almost. Even though it was the arm that took the impact, so who knows? And that insurance company of yours sounds like a bureaucratic nightmare. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see, back to happier subjects. On the meeting there, yeah, when I heard Ken on the repeater calling for Zoom info there, I suggested to him that he call up Kirk and maybe you'd get the information. So apparently my plan worked, but Ken couldn't follow through with it for some reason. Ken has a talent, I'll put it that way, for getting computers to crash and die on them. So who knows what happened there. Anyway, go ahead there, Brian. This is AI0Q.
Yeah, that's too bad. There are people out there that their electrical impulses do something to computers. There are times when I can stand next to a computer and make it work just by standing next to it. Sometimes I think it's because the computer's scared of me, but mostly I think it has something to do with proximity to somebody else's electrical impulses, I think. The AI stuff is getting really, really sophisticated. I've seen now a few fan fiction movies. They're about 5 to 7 minutes long, and I tell you, they have real quality to them. They've been fan fiction Star Wars movies, and there's some parts of it that you can tell are not quite the same acting quality, and the voices are different because it's obviously not Alec Guinness saying the things or James Earl Jones, but it's close enough to make an interesting little point. Most of the fan fiction things that I've seen are kind of poignant moments, not a whole lot of action.
K0NW.
Well, good morning, Rich. Yeah, just to give you some fun here, I work the Amazon AI, Alexa, and the Apple AI controls on that Copilot. But sometimes I have them both on, and they interact with each other. Hey, I'm Echo. I'm not Siri. And then Siri says, hey, I'm Siri. For your solution. Actually fight over each other. So try not to get that going, but it's interesting to watch AI interact with each other. Anyway, Pam just got up, walked into the room, so, you know, I'm going to take off and get ready for the morning here. You guys have yourself a great day, and be careful on the road, because I know there's a lot of accidents. 0 south by west.
While I was making coffee, I think I heard a comment about Seth last night, and I couldn't hear him well because he's rather soft-spoken anyway, and I was about as far away from him as I could get, but it sounded like they were going to do some sort of Aries training coming up.
Okay, is it mine? Okay, very good. Well, that's a good deal to do. Although, when we had floods here in the Red River Valley 20, 30 years ago, whatever it was, we had a number of floods that came up, and the radio club was active doing dike patrols and whatnot. I thought that the amateur radio presence was kind of iffy most of the time. Didn't really need to be there, and I had no idea what to do in specific instances because we never had any training. We were just shoved out in the field and expected to operate like professionals. So, hope Seth can straighten things out a bit. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, now I remember that that's probably what it's going to be. I have some certifications with that. I took that certification when the guy from Dallas came and talked about emergency communications and all of that. And I still don't have a go bag like he wants fitted together. I do have radios in multiple places, but nothing like an emergency has happened. I can get on the radio right that very second. It's mostly I've got to go look, and he said that a go bag is a go. If emergency happens, you have it right in front of you. So, and I'm not that ready yet. Yeah, I was having a hard time hearing Seth, and he was sitting near, much nearer to me than to you. So I'm glad you caught a bit of it. Anyway, go ahead there, Rich.
Well, I used to see Mike Heiler, may God rest his soul, nearly every week. At least every 2 weeks, he would come to our town, and he was always doing some kind of checkups on the equipment in the swimming pool. I believe it was air handling systems or something. But we talked more about ham radio than anything, and I could recognize his vehicle. I could look out the front window at our store and see his vehicle sitting over by the pool, and I'd just, being my own boss, I could go over there and make up some excuse for being out of the office for a few minutes, and I'd get caught up with him. So it'll be good to get to know Seth more, and hopefully we can get something going again. I know nationally Aries has been put on the back burner by the ARRL.
Yeah, Mike, way back in the day, Mike came on the radio as a novice, I think, something like that. And I was doing VE testing, the old-fashioned VE testing back then. And I think I gave Mike one of his first tests to get him, I forget, the technician or something. And I remember I thought, I don't know if this guy's got what it takes to be a ham, but I was wrong, because because Mike turned out to be a pretty active guy and pretty knowledgeable, I think. So sorry to see him go.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. He was, I think, one of 2 or 3 people that I knew of that COVID ended up getting. And I'm still bitter about all of that COVID stuff, because it's been washed away, whitewashed, and covered over by so many layers of bureaucracy and everything. And there's a guy on the internet, I can't remember, Kramer, that's what it is, the Kramer Project or whatever. He's a pretty angry guy, and he took to task the Republicans who said that they were going to take names and start prosecuting, and it's been 2 years, and there has not been a single person put in jail for anything that happened over the last 5 years. So, I don't know, I'm starting to feel sympathetic to that. Go ahead there, Rich.
Well, in my family, emergency preparedness has always been a thing of interest. My dad became active in civil defense early on. He worked with law enforcement, and my dad was the director of civil defense in our county. So even as a kid, I got a lot of secondhand training. And as an adult, I became what was it called? Anyway, I was in charge of emergency response for radiological monitoring. And I've got significant Geiger counter type equipment at home. I went for a month of training in the cities, and then an annual refresher course for a number of years. So, it just, we had a snowmobile rescue squad in our county with probably about 60 members, and we had quite frequent meetings. I want to say probably every other month, and it was our sheriff kept us up to date on a lot of that stuff, and that made me more interested in Aries when I got to be a ham.
Is it true that you can get a Geiger counter app in your cell phone today? I rather doubt it. That probably takes a specialized sensor that you don't have in the phone, but I wonder if those are available. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't heard of that. But I would, if they have, I would not count it as being very accurate, and give people false readings quite quickly, because if you don't have something that's dedicated, if it's a Swiss Army knife kind of thing, they'll do what they can with the space they have, but it's not going to be better than a dedicated machine. So I've only used a Geiger counter once. I was in high school, and the high school had a piece of uranium that was used for scientific purposes, so that we could measure the rate of decay and all that kind of stuff, or at least see it and everything. I don't know if they can put those things in high schools anymore. I know that if they find any mercury in a school, they practically shut the whole thing down and cart it out in hazmat suits. And there was a time when I used to play with mercury in that came out of a broken thermometer. So we have different ways of looking at safety these days, I guess. Now go ahead, Rich.
Oh, good heavens, you played with mercury? Oh, my, and you're still alive? Yeah, we used to, even in chemistry class as a junior in high school, we would roll it back and forth from one hand to the other. Oh, yeah. But if you're wondering about if your cell phone can do Geiger counter, Al, you should ask an AI app, and you'll find out there.
I think I'd rather not know. I'm not going to ask a computer about that because I have no practical application for it, I guess. Let's see, there also used to be those watches that were coated with some kind of glowing radioactive paint that would let you see it in the dark and give you cancer at the same time. I don't know if I ever had one of those. I remember those things were out. I don't remember playing around with mercury as a young lad. So you guys are up one on me there. Let's see, about 25 years ago, the radio club here, we had a position down in the courthouse and jail, kind of downtown Fargo, and we had like an HF set up and whatnot in there. And down in the basement there, they had a bunch of civil defense stuff for the city, and one of those things was a Geiger counter unit, and it was the old style one, the classic one that you'd see from the nuclear tests of the 1950s. I think Edwin Teller would have been happy to see that thing laying there. Go ahead, Brian.
K0GEF. Yeah, big green thing with a sniffer on the top or something like that. And the clicking, I can hear it in every movie that has a Geiger counter. It's the exact same clicking, so it must have been a pretty ubiquitous kind of thing or sound. Boy, the weather has really turned. Yesterday was such a beautiful day, and today it is ugly. Oofta. Trying to think now. Nope, not going to be able to think. AI is taking over my head. Yeah, we actually had one of the guys that was part of the beginnings of the AI thing here in Fargo. His kid went to school here, and he was touting the whole thing as just a big database. And at some point, I do think it's just a big database, but it's doing something else with it now. So go ahead there, Rich.
Well, one more thing on the Geiger counter thing. The one I have, I actually have two of them, but they are sensitive enough that if you have a bad case of arthritis in a major joint, it can detect that. So I don't know if that makes them extremely accurate or just run-of-the-mill, but it'll bring out the clicks if you've had arthritis for quite a few years. As far as AI, what I always say is I knew how to think before. I'm not going to let AI change the way I do it. KE0NW.
And this will be about my last shot here, because I'm actually finding my way through the snow to my parking lot. Yeah, I know that the idea of AI has been around for a long time. I saw some books published, science fiction type books published back in right after World War II, late 1940s, 48, something like that. Guys like Heinlein, the classic old science fiction writers. There were stories in this book I saw about machines becoming aware and taking over in the 1948 region there. That was before they barely knew how to get 8 bits strung together to make a computer. So, yeah. Of course, now it's gone hog wild. No offense to the hog population around here. So, over to you, Brian, and I'm going to clear out AHRQ.
Yeah, have a great day there, Al. Have a safe day driving around the city if you're doing that today. And get some coffee. Go ahead there, Rich.
Yep, you guys stay safe. And, I'm fairly used to carrying a go bag because I have had one for over 40 years. So it probably needs some updating, but everything does. KE0NW.
Yeah, I do have to admit that my go bag is in the back seat here, but it doesn't have a radio sitting in it. It does have a Bible in it, though, and a set of playing cards. I do believe a fire starter, and I don't think I have any food in it, but yeah. So I do have, and I think it's almost accidental I have it in my car right now because I was using it for ice fishing. But at least I can say I have it. I have some of it in the car.
Is it just my radio, or is there an extremely long squelch tail on the repeater today?
I think that's just your radio because I'm not hearing it today. But I have heard it before, so we've talked about that. Well, we talked about the whole Grandin repeater thing last night, and that's not causing it, so it might be your radio catching some squelch from something else, not sure.
Well, I'm usually on 2 meters too, and I grabbed the 440 handheld today.
Okay. Well, my radio is a 440. It's a UHF only radio. So I'd be hearing the same thing, I think, unless it has something to do with location. You are a lot closer to the repeater than I am.
That's true, and it could be something local in the building here too, that once the handheld is receiving a signal, it could be grabbing something from another piece of electronics.
Oh yes, we have a lot of Wi-Fi kinds of things here at school too. So there's all kinds of places where the sound will cause problems, or the background Wi-Fi or RF will cause problems. So, plus all the cars that are going past, they have their own Wi-Fi and their own RF signals and everything. So the place is very noisy, especially at this time of the day when everybody is bringing their children and their dogs to school.
Anything interesting in your work life today, Brian, or is it kind of a normal day when it's going to be stormy and all the livestock is antsy?
Well, I have an appointment this morning for my knee, so I'm actually got the first 3 periods off, so I can go do that. But yes, I'm going to guess that all the students will be definitely anxious about the fact that they're here at school when it's obvious that the world is falling apart and we need to be at home doing absolutely nothing. So their capacity for problems is directly related to their want or need to do something.
MW.
Good morning, Chuck. And that was a great way to put it, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
Hi, Brian and Rich. Yeah, it's messy out here. I couldn't believe that. Well, then the truck was like at least a couple inches of snow, but extremely heavy. So, and I don't think they've touched University Drive yet, which is really odd. It looks like they dumped some sand and salt on top of the snow. So, anyway, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, that's what they were doing on Highway 10 as well. It didn't look like the blades were really doing anything. Just looked like they were dumping ice and snow and, not snow, whatever materials that they put out on the road in Minnesota, if it's salt or if it's some other chemical. I don't know if they're expecting a lot more snow, so they're just going to wait for it to get mostly done and then do the plowing or what, but maybe they will be plowing at some point because they just expect to be driving back and forth all day. It's interesting that in North Dakota there are people that they are given a section of road and that's what they plow, is that section of road. So I imagine they just either go back and forth on that all day long, or they're given some kind of order to go out and plow it and then come back in or whatever. So it's all pretty regimented, I think, especially when in North Dakota we have lots of snow. Out in Virginia, I've got a buddy that lives in the hills of Virginia, and there the snowplows don't actually get hooked up to anything. It's too expensive to hook them up, so they hire people to do it with their tractors. And if they get a half an inch of snow, they call off school.
Well, at the risk of boring you guys with a story that I've already told, back in 1976, in the fall, we got an early, huge snowstorm. And I was at NDSU in college and somehow got home but we still had cattle out in a pasture that was 16 miles from home. Reset. And the state and county had not put snow plows on their trucks yet. And we took our snow blower and blowed out all 16 miles of roadway to get out to the pasture so we could get the cows loaded up and taken home. That was really a chore. 16 miles of driving a tractor with your head on backwards is no fun.
Yuck, I bet not. My goodness. I almost wish I would have came out and grabbed my computer and just done work from home today, but once I got out and got the truck cleaned up, I thought, well, I'm this far, I can at least go cruise around a bit. Anyway, Brian, really good meeting you last night. I can put a face with a voice for the most part. It's really weird. Faces don't stick with me until I see somebody a couple times or so. I'd be a really bad cop.
Oh yeah, the face thing is usually pretty good with me. It's the name to go with the face. That's what the problem is. I usually don't put name and face together very quickly. It takes a couple of times for me to do that. Go ahead, Rich.
I was pretty good with names until I had my back surgery. And then that post-operative cognitive dysfunction took over. And it pretty much erased a lot of old things, not so much old things, fairly recent things from my head. I could remember things that happened 60 years and 70 years ago. But some of the intermediate ones got really confused. And but now, once they come back, and they come back randomly for no reason either, once they come back, then I seem to have a pretty good handle on them again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I know what I can do this morning. I can go drive to our store and pull in the side lot, dump all the rest of the snow off on the lot back there. I cleaned my hood off from the windshield and the side windows. I didn't take it off the top of the cab or the box. It's too heavy. It's not going to bother anybody else for now, but I might go over there and get it removed at least. I just didn't want to have to deal with it twice at home. Anyway, I am here at the Breakfast Emporium, so I'm going to hop out and grab some food. Talk to you all later at KU0MW. Go ahead, Brian.
The Breakfast Emporium. Quite the huckster today. Woofta. The snow is lighting up just a little bit, but there is a lot of cars on the road here. And they are all trying to get to one place or another, and not all the same place. So I'm going to try and navigate all of this without getting hit. So I have to get to my doctor's appointments at 8:30, but I figure I better head over there sooner than later because otherwise it's going to be a headache to try and get in a park. Go ahead.
Well, I just came to the realization that there really aren't going to be too many people walking down the sidewalk right outside my window, so I can probably open my blinds. I'm sure I haven't had them open for probably 3 months because people seem to be rather rude, and they'll walk past here and try to, check and see if I'm picking my nose or whatever. But it would be nice to be able to see outside.
Yeah, it's amazing on manners these days. People have different ways of looking at the world, and some people are much more interested in what other people are doing than minding their own business.
Well, I'm kind of spoiled too from living out in the country all my life and being, well, when I was growing up, I was probably only 100 feet from the highway, and now I'm 150 feet from the highway. But still, you know, if you saw somebody going by, why, you'd wave at everybody because you knew them and they knew you, and etc. And now it's a whole different world with strangers.
Oh yes. Well, the slickness has definitely come now, because I'm watching the road here as I'm coming up to the stoplight, and the ice underneath it has finally congealed into something very slick looking. So I'll just kind of hope that everybody else around me is also paying attention. I think they all are, because everybody's driving pretty slow today. But 8 o'clock is definitely the wrong time to be driving around town just as a joyride, because there's a lot of people on the road trying to get to work.
I will never miss being in town. I definitely will always miss being in the country, though. I really like the slow life, although it's not all that slow. They're just different things to pay attention to. If there's a storm coming, you can tell by the livestock how bad the storm's going to be.
Oh yeah. Do cows walk into the snow? I thought I heard that.
They'll walk to get where they're going, but if there's a big wind, they will face away from the wind.
Okay. I've heard multiple different stories about cattle and all of that, and pheasants. There were some kids that went out pheasant hunting, and in this little story, and they came across a bunch of bumps in the snow, and they figured they were pheasants, and when they came up on them, they didn't move because their eyes were covered over with ice. So the kids could have just picked them up, wringed their necks, and taken them home. Instead, they cleaned off their faces and let them go. Just didn't think it was sporting enough to just grab them out of the snow, I guess.
They are such pretty birds. I have never shot one. I've shot a lot of things, but I'm not going to take up pheasant hunting because there are so few of them. I'm sure I have seen more coyotes, and if you combine coyotes and wolves, I've seen more of both of those than I've ever seen pheasants.
And I've had the opposite effect. I've seen more pheasants than I've seen of coyotes and wolves. I don't think I've ever seen a wolf. I've heard wolves, but I know I've seen coyotes and fox. I've seen a few fox as well. We actually had a pheasant hit our car once, I was a kid riding in the back seat, and suddenly this big bird just boom hits the side of the car, and it was a pheasant. I could tell because the way the feathers were and all of that. But I said, "Dad, let's stop and get it." And he said, "No, we're not picking it up." So yeah, that was my experience with pheasant hunting. Hunted it with an 8-cylinder.
No, I have even been able to look out the picture window on my house past the garage and seen a wolf running by about 300 feet away.
Yeah, I've not been that close. I know that there are wolves that roam the northern part of the Cub Boy Scout camp, and bear. There's some bears up there that I know because the paw prints were there. I've seen paw prints of mountain lion. I've heard bobcat. They're creepy sounding because they sound just like a woman in trouble. Seen plenty of woodchucks and beavers and that sort of thing, but never a wolf.
Yeah, I guess I live in the Wild West because I have a pasture that's 2 miles from home, and I rent it out in the fall to a couple of fellows from Glendon who hunt on it. And they have set up game cams, and they're very happy to share their game cam pictures with me. And we've even seen several bull elk on the game cams there.
Interesting that the elk is moving in. I wonder if that's because they're moving from Canada, or if they're moving west from Montana. Interesting situation to have elk in Minnesota. North Dakota elk license is a once in a lifetime. You get one and then you're done. So you can't, if you didn't get your elk, that's it. Got a buddy that his wife put in her ticket and got it first draw, and he still hasn't gotten his. But they went out and shot a female, and they met a guy out there that had been hunting for a week and a half, and he saw one but didn't take the shot because he thought, oh, I'll wait for a bigger one, and then he hasn't seen another one yet. And when they went out there, they were hunting for a half an hour, and they closed out the ticket.
I'm not familiar with all the little towns up north, but I know there is a spot up in northwestern Minnesota where there's a herd of about 100 elk.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know all the names of those little towns up there. I know there's a Rosso. No, Rosso is down south. I know there's a Baudette, and there's Deep River Falls. That's probably not quite as far north. And I don't know if I could name any more other than Pembina. Well, that's a North Dakota place.
You were right on the first go. Rosso is way up north. It's actually pretty close to the Canadian line. But yeah, that's the Polaris factory up there. And that was the first snowmobile factory that I got to tour even though the Viking plant was only 9 miles from home.
Who did Viking sell to?
I don't know if they ever did. They were quite small. They did produce quite a few snowmobiles for maybe 4 or 5 years. I do have a Viking historian who is one of my best friends. I should ask him. He even worked at the plant for probably 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I've got a former student buddy that collects snowmobiles, old ones. I don't know which one he's working on now because he's now a worker bee. He runs he manages an elevator out in Cooperstown area, I think. But all of his snowmobiles and such are on his dad's place north of town here, over by Harwood. And I wouldn't doubt that he would have a Viking somewhere along those lines.
Well, Vikings were never very popular in Ada because that was the neighboring school, and there was always a dispute going on there. But Dale is from over there, W0ILO, so he may have some insight, but I can talk to my friend Mike too. I have a collector machine that I just bought a couple years ago, and I need to try to get a few decals and stuff to freshen it up a little bit, but it is an AMF skedaddler made by the folks that made Harley Davidson.
Oh yeah, so that's got to have some significant value. I guess it would depend on whether or not it was made and it stays together. I know that Harley Davidson at one point was very famous for having to put tool bags on their bikes because you couldn't go riding once without having to fix something.
Well, my next door neighbor bought this skedaddler brand new, and it was about a week old the first time I rode it, and it got a very scant amount of use for a number of years, and then for 35, maybe 40 years, nobody knew where it was. And, you know, even his son didn't know where it was. And a few years ago, his son had an auction sale and sold all the farm equipment. And when they were cleaning out the buildings, they found this snowmobile back in there. And he called me immediately. I was down at St. Cloud on my way to the cities. And he said, hey, I found that snowmobile. Do you want to buy it? And I said, how much? And he shot me a figure, and I said, I'll take it. And so it never even got on the auction sale. I didn't have to fight anybody for it.
Very good. He was very lucky that you had mentioned that you were looking at it. I remembered it. I've wanted some things like that. Like I've wanted to buy a Ford Mustang 66, 65. I told my wife that when we first got married, and she bought me one. And I just got done putting it together with the model glue that I have about 5 years ago.
Oh, a model. Interesting. As far as automobiles go, they're a tool for me. I just use them to get from place to place. I am done working on vehicles. I don't even change my own oil anymore. I would now, being back at the farm, but when I had the store in town, shoot, it was just too easy to call the dealer and say, yeah, I need an oil change. It's parked behind the store. You know where to get it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I used to do my own as well, but these days I'll drive it into our mechanic, or I'll take it to Jiffy Lube, just as easy, and then I don't have to lay down on the ground. But the vehicles, the last few vehicles I've had have been very leaky, losing oil quite fast. So I almost do an oil change just by driving it around.
Well, you know, if you're a farmer, you get tired of doing that kind of thing too, because at one point I had 13 tractors.
Wow. Yeah. I suppose you've unloaded a few of them. I actually do own a Ford 8N. No, 9N. Now I can't remember if it's an 8 or a 9. But it needs a lot of help. I don't even know if the motor turns over. Got it out at a buddy's house. I always wanted to own a tractor. I owned a tractor while I lived in the north end of Moorhead at the old trail market. And then when we moved into town, my wife said, well, there's no room for that. So I sold it. And the day I sold it, I was wanting another one. So, but I got a lot of work to do on that Ford. But I love tractors.
Well, I was even at the point where I would buy 2 old tractors, tear them both apart, take all the good parts, and put one together and sell the rest. I had enough shop room, and you know, it was during the summers when I was going to college, so I had plenty of time. And now I only have one old original family tractor left, and my son has taken over, and he has traded everything else off or sold it and bought new stuff.
Yeah, there is something to be said about using a new tractor. Some of the new stuff is very, very good. Others is plastic, and don't like the plastic stuff, but you know, it is nice to be able to just go out to the tractor, start it up, and use it instead of have to do maintenance on it before you can even use it. The one I had was an International 300 utility, and it was a good old tractor, but it was a 6-volt, so I had to bring the battery inside the house. Otherwise, I'd have to run a battery charger out to it, because it just did not have the guts to run the thing or turn it over when it was cold outside. But I could get it to, if I could get it to turn over, it would start, unless there was ice or water in the bowl, and I could always tell, because the bowl would be sloshing some water in the bottom of it or in the top of it. I can't remember which one, on the bottom, I think. So, yeah, I love that little tractor. it was a good one.
Well, if I bought a tractor that had a 6-volt system on, the first thing I would do is take the generator off and put that in the scrap heap, buy an alternator and put on it, put a 12-volt battery in it, put 12-volt light bulbs in it, and if you put 12 volts to a 6-volt starter, you have no problem getting things started even when it's cold, because they crank much faster.
Oh, yes. And that was a thought at one point, but then, you know, we moved into town and we didn't bother with it anymore because I sold it. I suppose, I think the one that I have is a 6-volt system, but I don't think it's run for 40 years. So I've got a lot of work to make sure that it even moves, much less turns over. So yeah, that's my guilty little pleasure is to have that, even though I haven't done anything with it yet.
Well, I'm not familiar with either the 8N or the 9N. The only Ford tractors that have ever been on our farm, my grandfather purchased in the 1920s. And he wore one out and then bought another new one. But the first one that they bought came on the train to Twin Valley, Minnesota, and they actually had to go to the lumber yard and buy a 2x4 to put on the crank so they could get it turned over the first time, because it was built to such tight specifications that it was brand new and they just couldn't turn the crank. KE0NW.
Oh yeah, there were a lot of Fords, 9N, 8N, 2N that were sold across North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, all over the place. So you can usually find parts for them pretty easily. Up until about 20 years ago, you could actually buy parts at Tractor Supply Company. They just kept them on hand. You might still be able to. I just haven't looked recently. They are ubiquitous around here. And if you look hard enough, you can find them for a pretty good price. I'm a notorious cheapskate, so when I say it's a good price, it's a good price. Well, I'm here at my appointment. Thanks for keeping me company, and I'll talk to you later, let you know how things go. This is K0GEF.
I hope things go well so that you can remain mobile. KE0NW.